came across an article written by Peter Sims of the Wall Street Journal. And the name of the article was The Montessori Mafia. And that kind of caught my attention. I wanted to read more about this. And it started out talking about how there was a mother in New York who brought about a lawsuit because her 4-year-old daughter, who went to a non-traditional preschool, wasn't adequately prepared to take the entrance exam for getting into private school of her choice.
How old was this child?
4-year-old. 4-year-old. And I thought, well, yeah, it sounds like New York, I guess. But the author said that the daughter's future and our future would be a whole lot brighter if there was less conditioning on taking the test and more emphasis and encouragement placed on discovery and learning. And he said, as they teach in Montessori. And I went on to read as we were preparing last night for the middle school meeting, in the Erdkinder appendices, Maria Montessori herself talking about that traditional schools, schools which probably most of us went to, really fail to protect the very thing that the future depends on, and that's human energy. And she bemoaned a system where she says students are compelled to study as a duty, where students act without interest, aim, or satisfaction, where they produce work which is measured like inanimate objects or inanimate material, and they are producing work that's not judged or seen as a product of life. And in my opinion, that's what sets us apart as Montessorians. We're preparing children to produce products of life. And a lot of times those products can't be measured. And in the appendices, we discussed last night this whole notion of supporting at the middle school level, but I would even argue to say at all levels in Montessori, that really what we need to do is we need to widen the curriculum, not restrict it, and that we really need to be focusing on the valorization of personality. So the topic of discussion was, well, what is involved in the valorization of personality, and how do we measure it? Well, you really can't. Joy, selflessness, confidence, dignity, self-discipline, independence, cooperation, helpfulness, the ability to work with others, and good judgment. And so while we can't really measure it, probably everyone in this room would agree that those things are important to us, and that those really are the things that we want our children to come away with when they enter into society. And yes, academics is important, and certainly we're in Montessori expecting a rigorous curriculum and high standards of academic excellence. But these other things are important too. And sometimes in other traditional settings, these things are never even acknowledged, let alone taught. And members of the Montessori Mafia include the Google founders, the founder of Amazon, the Wikipedia founder, the video game producer Will Wright, and there are many others. And colleges and higher learning institutes are really starting to shift their focus. They're starting to do away with things like ACT and SAT test scores. They're placing less emphasis on those for their entering students, for their students who are applying for scholarships and academic support, and really starting to place more emphasis on the valorization of personality and the joy of discovery and learning. And as these Mafia members say, and learning it on your own terms.
Can I add something?
Yes,
Yes,
you
you
may.
Was it last week or the week before we had visitors from UK Department of
Yes.
Education who were coming, looking at our school as a alternate educational philosophy, and they just loved it, and were chatting with me, and I don't know how it came up, but I guess they wanted to know how we were accredited or something, we're talking about AMS, and said, well, you know, unfortunately AMS seems to be putting a greater emphasis on standardized testing, which we're not real sure about, we have a little pushback, and all three of them said, oh, push back hard. You need to push back hard for that, I mean, don't let that, you know, grab on in your school, and I thought, it was unexpected for me, these were traditional educators. Former superintendents of public schools, and, I thought, oh, okay, we will. But, to your point, that other institutions are now seeing that maybe that's not the highest standard, and, so it looks like there is kind of a crack in the wall there.
We'll get buildings and grounds right on that. Sorry, I heard crack in the wall.
I got it.
Let me add that to the report. Let me add that to the report. It's like, where's the track?
Oh.